Now we switch on our geese and understanding about Mr. John Kingsley, Assistant General Manager, Cyber Security Engineer, iFluids Engineering, Chennai. We welcome you, sir.
Welcome everyone, and thanks for the salient points by all the guest speakers. That really made a lot of sense, and that's already been a lot spoken about. So I'll just touch a few key points, especially considering our audience and the participants are upcoming engineers in their final years or third year. They'll be joining the industry soon. I suppose you guys will be worried a lot what is happening in this oil and gas sector or the petrochemical sector. Do not worry. This too shall pass. But unlike previous days, oil and gas industry globally has faced difficult times before. But this is definitely unprecedented. And the short-term outlook is very complex because, as we all know, because of the COVID-19, it has eroded the demand from an already challenged industry. But the medium and long-term outlooks are not that uncertain. Irrespective of the pressures from green energy and decarbonization and our society-related changes, because there is more emphasis on reducing energy, etc. What I see overall is the industry as such will be reinventing itself. So when I say reinventing, what I mean is a pre-COVID scenario where the oil barrel was around $50 to $60 dollars per barrel. The break-even cost was $35 to $40 or $50 depending upon the country or the location. Now, when we talk about the near future scenario or even like 2021, the price has kind of stabilized, but in terms of the break-even, it's a very thin margin. So like Dr. Jitendra, he was telling about increasing the efficiency, right? So that is where all the major companies will also focus in improving their collective efficiency and also diversifying a different mix of energy sources as well in order to stay relevant to the future. So the challenge is basically, if you see, for all the oil and gas companies, the top line pressure from changing the demand supply balance, the bottom line pressure from imposition of regulations and carbon taxes and so on, the margin pressure in terms of their break even, in terms of the investment and in terms of their capital that is needed to do the expansion and so on. And of course, very important fact is the implementation, or if I can rephrase it as non-availability of talent and skills, right? So this is one area that industries actually are facing a severe crunch. Having people who are who talented and skilled so that they can be put immediately onto the job. So you do have a lot of hope, and industry as we know it is also changing compared to other industry sectors like software and so on. There are new innovations and initiatives that is being taken up by our oil and gas industry as well, for the best being digitalization and digital transformation. So this is a huge area actually. So one new area where our workforce will be predominantly working is, especially you guys who have done their petroleum engineering or chemical engineering or specialized courses, with your background in engineering and science, there will be a lot of demand for cross-functional expertise doing the data analytics and simulations, and everyone must have heard about digital twins, right? So this is where how the industries can actually optimize and enable their efficiencies by utilizing such cross-functional skills. So very quickly, the whole oil and gas community as such, in order to survive this downturn as well as be relevant to the future, is one of the key initiatives that I can see from what is happening is enabling the infrastructure and networking effect, like creating hubs. Like Sir was talking about, there has been the LNG infrastructure in the West Coast and East Coast was being developed. That is really true. Many do not know that is happening, but that is happening at a pace that no one can imagine. Especially the northern parts of India already do have a lot of cities do have city gas networks and pipe gas supplies. Southern India doesn't have that, at least for time being, but we will get there soon. So when we have this networking and infrastructure availability, it will help to reduce the and share the logistics, and whatever surplus inventory that might be stored can be actually utilized. So the infrastructure is very important, and it will help us to reduce any excess inventory that we might have. So that is one thing. And another thing is standardization. This is also going to be implemented across the industry because they would want to reduce their purchase or construction costs and so on. So when we have standardization, automatically during the procurement, whenever there is any capital expenditure on the equipments, there will be good benefits that can be had, and it will ultimately lead to lowering the project costs. So that's about standardization. And the third point I would like to share is the digital transformation, the use of data, and this definitely will help the oil and gas ecosystem to enable information exchange, implement the digitalization within their companies and within the industrial ecostructure, and it will actually help us to make data-driven decision making. And the final point will be the future workforce requirements. And when I say workforce requirements, there is always a requirement of people, irrespective of the automation and new innovation that happens in technology. People are still required. People are just replaced with people who have better skills. So we have industrial revolution or industry 4.0 that is happening. It's a connected world, and over time this will again develop as industrial 5.0 as well. But at the moment, industry 4.0 is what is happening, and this needs upskilling and utilizing opportunities within cross industry, so that people with their relevant expertise can get good opportunities. So these are the key initiatives that oil and gas companies within India, across the world, are actually doing. So concluding the overall discussion, oil and gas industry faces multiple challenges, and definitely we have to acknowledge that it is a very increasingly complex and uncertain future. So the industry's success largely depends upon able to identify and foresee critical signals and act decisively. So the above points that I discussed, when implemented, will help us to uh, stay ahead of the curve and decrease waste, improve efficiency, lower the break-even cost, and also ultimately reduce the carbon footprint. So collaboration will definitely happen at a local level, regional level, national level, and international level, where the government, the regulators, and industry, who are the stakeholders, have to will be playing a key role and ensure that the oil and gas sector will definitely stay relevant. It will stay relevant. There is always it doesn't mean that oil and gas industry will be replaced overnight. That is something impossible with the way how things are, which was already discussed by the various speakers previously. So all you young participants who are attended this session, there is definitely hope, and all you guys need to do is stay strong in your fundamentals and have an additional skill or two so that you can weather the storm. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving an overall view about the supply and demand, and as well as specifying certain aspects. Initially, the main aspects is where I'm going to just highlight. One is going to be the cross-functional expertise that is necessary for students, so that you have some skills kind of data analytics with simulation in order to optimize the results that are being got in the oil and gas industry. When you say about enabling the infrastructures that are available both in east and west coast, there is much improvement in the northern side of India, but we will get that soon in the future years to come. And we also focused on standardization of certain aspects. Either is going to be the construction cost, and as well as the lowering of the project cost, that is overall that we are going to think about, and how much you are going to spend initially as a capital investment should also be taken care of when we are discussing about standardization. Then moving on to discuss about this digital transformation that are happening, which tries to give some information exchange, and as well as within the oil and gas domain as an ecosystem to function properly, because any communication which is made has to go to the individual team members that are working in the current project, so as to get effective results. Then after that, he highlighted about the workforce requirement. Even though the recent automation and new inventories are happening in the day-to-day life, there is still some requirement. Only thing is, you as a student has to not only upgrade and keep strong in your fundamentals, but also have some software skills additionally, so as to attract the current industry and acquire a good job. And with that, we are done.